In the DevOps world, a developer creates new codes. A tester will test its functionality. This procedure is called TDD, test-driven development. The tester and the developer will sit together and define a predefined test results and scenarios. So this procedure can be automated. Once this testing phase is completed, we will be building the image, then we will upload it into the artifactories so that that particular image will be, or it will undergo for thorough scanning for compliance and the vulnerabilities. Once the artifactory is clean and neat, then we will be good to use this particular image for deployment across various landscapes, right? So in this case, we are going to discuss about how do we automate our testing. We are considering a Node.js project. Not only Node.js, either React or Angular, any other product can be tested using Vitest utility. It's an automated testing utility. So without wasting much time, let's move on to this video, and this is Melvin Satishan. First thing first, we have created a repository called js-codes. This repository will be used for our coding purpose, and we cloned our repository to a VS Code workspace. Let's create a folder or js-vanilla. Then we have to initialize our project, cd js-vanilla npm init-y. Our Node.js project is initialized. Let's update the type is module. I will explain this later why we are using module. And next step, we have to install the basic modules. Npm install Axios for interacting with third-party applications, HTTP for disabling the SSL verification and advanced features, then FS for reading some files and all those things, writing the files, .env for loading .env parameters, then Vitest is our test utility, and Vercel is our compiling utility. Okay, so let it get installed. And here we have the custom scripts. So if we defined, or we can build or run all the steps, or the scripts can be defined here. So npm test means it will be getting executed. I will let you know how it is getting executed, just for our understanding. Let's wait for a minute to complete this installation. Okay, this installation part is completed. All the modules are visible here. Perfect. Now here we have the test script. So how do we execute that? Npm test. If you execute that, error no test specified. This is what the message we received, but our requirement is to test it using Vitest. So I will mention that Vitest. Perfect. So our skeleton framework is ready. Now we have to create the necessary folders and the codes. Let's open src. This is going to be our source code, and dest, this is going to be our destination, which means we will create a code, then we will do the testing, then we will compile the code using Vercel, so that the compiled code will be residing under destination. Perfect. And we have to create one more folder called test, so that the test declarations can be defined here. As I already explained, either a tester or the developer will define a set of test plan and the results. Based on that, we will create a test code and deploy it, so that whenever we need it, we will just trigger this script, so that it will provide us the test result, and based on that we can decide whether to proceed further or not. Okay, and first thing here, source. Under the source, we are going to create our first index.js file. Okay, now import Axios from Axios. All right, next import HTTP http from http import dot env from dot env. That's enough for now. Let's do let us create a JavaScript function that's going to be a constant get users. I'm planning to get mock users from a mock API. Get users equal to, and we will make it as an asynchronous function. So because if we use it to, or if we are using it from the browsers and all, there will be plenty of sessions, so that it should not block anything. And this is fastest, and we are using the asynchronous function, and it should have parameters, or the arguments can be passed. For now, I'm making it plain and simple. Later we will go through the complex codes. This is just for your understanding. I don't want you to get confused in any steps. All right, so here we will define our specific code. Okay, let payload equal to, here we have to define the method is going to be get, and the URL is going to be, let us go to the website, and here we have this fake APIs for users. Okay, let us copy that. So we have the necessary payload in place. Let response equal to axios dot request, and we will pass this payload. Okay, and then we will get the response, return response. Okay, that's it. But there's a problem. Since it is an asynchronous function, what will happen is, this is an asynchronous function without any proper order. This all will get executed. So what will happen here is, this axios function will get executed and it will leave it in the background. So here in the return response, we would be getting a waiting signal, right? Let us feel it, then we will correct it. Okay, so let response equal to await get users, or rather I will remove await as well. Let's do this way. Get users console.log response. All right, and I'm going to execute it. Look at it here, we are getting pending. So here two things are happening. The first thing, the moment I called this particular function, immediately it called this, and then it came to console.log. And if I am giving await here, which means I'm making this function as a blocking mode, so it will be getting executed sequentially. Look at it, I have received the output, but there's again a technical glitch. The technical glitches, we have here the axios. This is again further asynchronous mode. So if I use 2 or 3 functions here, it will be executing parallelly. Because just it will trigger it and it will not wait for the response. Finally, it will create a problem. So what we'll do is, we will create a await here. So it will be in synchronous manner. Perfect. Now if we execute it, it will be a bulletproof. Okay, always make sure this, because people will be getting confused, this asynchronous and await updates. And also this, if we use await, one level above async argument should be there, else it will not work. Okay, if I remove this and if I put await, it will not accept, because await is exclusively for asynchronous functions, which means we are changing its behavior. Okay, now we have our Node.js function, everything is ready and it is working as expected. So we are going to export it, right? Get users, our user function is exported. Perfect. It can be used anywhere, or it can be called from anywhere within this root directory. Excellent. Let us create another file called index.test.js. Here we will be defining our test cases. Okay. For that we have to import few modules. The one is describe. It's a framework for describing about the function. IT for executing or interactive terminal which executes the function. Then expect, what do we need to expect from it, and test is a default module. These all are available within Vitest. Excellent. Next we have to import our get users function from src. Okay, so necessary things are already imported. Well, now we are going to do an exercise. Describe. Here we have to define the function get users, and we are going to use a framework to declare this. So it's a function basically. Inside the function we are going to define our IT method. It should return a list of users. Okay, this is our first test case. Okay, and in this we have to define our function. So our function here, it is asynchronous, right? So here also we have to define asynchronous. Okay, because this value get users, we would be calling it as synchronously or await. So as you know, await, if we need to use await, we have to declare that function as asynchronous. We will define that basically. Now let response equal to await get users. Okay, our await function is ready. Now so far this is perfectly fine. What is that first test case? It should return a list of users. The data will be here. Let's scroll it down. Okay, here. So it is going to be a list of dictionary. In this case, what we can do here is expect what we are expecting. Response dot data. So this is going to be a response dot data. It is going to be a list of dictionary, but here we have another concern. We are expecting a response data is a list of dictionary, but we need to check whether it is true or not. We will define array dot is array. Is it array dot is array? If so, it will provide us a boolean. Okay, so what I mean to say here, expect, if this is expect, after that we are going to say to be true. All right, so we are expecting array is array. Let's do this way then, rather than that. I don't want to confuse you further. Array dot array, sorry, is array and response dot data, and I will do just a console.log here. I'll put the whole thing inside that console.log so you will understand in a better manner. And I will do, before going that, we have to update here package.json Vitest, right? Now we will go to npm test. Cool. It executed, it basically executed the test and it provides us the output. So it gives us the standard output. The standard output was true, and one test is passed, and one file is tested. So this way we will get the response. Now one thing we have to see, this is true, right? What we are expecting, it should be true, right? Let's do an expect here. We are expecting this value array is array to be true. To be what? To be true. I'm gonna give a boolean expression here. So array.array is true, so that it is passed, because this is a list of dictionary. The response.data is going to be a list of dictionary. Suppose if I give a false, I want an empty thing, in that case it will throw the error. So our unit test is failed at this point. Well, now few more things I would like to cover here. This is true. So first thing, we have defined that it should return a list of dictionary. That is fine. Next, it should have a return code 200. Let result equal to response.status. Let response.status equal to true or false. Okay. What happened here? Let's look at it. See, response.status is equal to 200. In that case it is true, and expect result to be true. So it should have the return code as 200. We have the response here. Perfect. That has worked. Then the next parameter that we are going to check here is console.log response. So here the next parameter, it should be 200 at the code, right? So we have received the code 200 and the status text. So here we can put the another ternary here. It should have a valid list. Rather than that, we will rename it as, it should have a status text. Okay. So it would be as simple as let result equal to, so here again we will go to response dot status text equal to okay, because it's a string basically, and it should be true and false. Perfect. So these ternary operators will help us to fine tune it, and here we will define the in the result. Excellent. So our second test, status code is 200, then it should have a status text okay. Then next, our list should have at least one values, right? So here we will define it should have at least one element in the list. Okay, so how do we do that? we will use the same ternary and response dot data, right? So this is basically a list, right? Dot length or length is greater than 0. In that case, true. Is if it is 0, it's going to be false. So the test is getting passed, right? So this is also working because it contains more values. If I give like this, it's going to fail. Of course, it's failed because it contains more number of users, right? So this is one test here. Then we have, it should return a list of users. It is having an array with the proper data so that it is giving us. So this way the testing works. However, this is about one function with a multiple result. Suppose if you want to test something more functions, no matter, you can, rather than use this get, here is the get users, I will put a string here, API testing of NodeJS. Okay, you can put it here, and here each functions you would be calling it, so that what will happen, it would be defining it here in this way. Make sure that, and always if it is a very complex function with a lot of methods and all, I personally recommend one function, one describe. So it will be clean and neat, easy to understand. If there is any fine tuning is needed, straight away we can go and pick that particular function and do the correction. Suppose if you use multiple functions within a single description, it would be so difficult for you to troubleshoot or to modify the things. Okay, so this method is called TDD, test driven development. Okay, that's it for now, and we will move on to the compilation segment in the next video. And if you have any queries or doubts, feel free to post it in the comments, and I would be happy to answer those things. And I feel it is helpful. Also, I would like to say my sincere thanks for your precious time, and wishing you a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.